starting my day. I ain't really had coffee or anything yet, but as y'all can see, your boy, what I'm saying, desperately needs his wig done. Probably gonna get that done a little bit later, but starting my work day, chilling. We gonna let a few people get in here. We gonna discuss this whole draft fatigue thing because it is something that was brought up by another content creator. And when more people kind of get in here, we can kind of discuss what draft fatigue is because it is a real thing. I hit that like button, and we gonna really get into what I'm thinking, and then I can kind of get on with my work day. But as you enter, what I'm saying, hit the comments, say hello, so that I know people are out there. So that I'm not just talking to myself, so that I don't look crazy. What's going on, Michael? What's going on, man? How you doing? We gonna discuss this draft fatigue thing because it definitely is a thing, and I definitely understand it now. Now, with that, we're gonna talk about a few prospects that actually I actually believe it pertains to when we're talking about that. But yeah, so we got a couple people in here. Um, Draft fatigue. Now, the Dallas Cowboys have been a very bad team throughout the course of the year. We were a bad team. And so the draft process started really, really early amongst the Cowboys. And so we were looking at players damn near in November because we were pretty much out of Dodge. What's up, JV? I mean, no, we kind of knew that this team, even if they had made the playoffs, like the way that this team builds. What's up, Carlos? Hit that like button for me, y'all. Um, we knew that this team was bad, and we knew that even if they had made the playoffs, that we weren't going to make a deep run. So we started looking at players. We started looking at prospects really, really early. And the person who kind of brought that up is AOC. AOC said that because we was doing mock drafts in December, and I actually agreed with him then. That's why I took my time, and that's why I have taken my time with these draft prospects. I've actually done a lot more work. I've gone over a lot more players than I've actually done videos on, shorts on, and all that type of stuff. As you guys know, I pretty much kind of hone in on the run game, but I'm kind of well versed in the quarterbacks, into the receivers. I would say the defensive linemen, the edges, like for the most part, if there's a player out there, I probably if I haven't watched them, I could probably get a gauge on them pretty quick because I've watched a lot of players. And when Professor O came out with his board, with when you can create your board, that's what let me know. Like, man, I've watched a lot more of these players than I thought. Do I watch the Packers Cowboys game? Uh, Unfortunately, I did watch that. Unfortunately, but you know that's beside the point. I'm gonna try and bring something home. So when we're doing mock drafts in December, we're doing all that type of stuff. Like we got an early start on a lot of these players. We got an early start on what the Cowboys need. Um, and a lot of it kind of rode on McCarthy getting fired, not fired, but you guys know McCarthy not coming back and Shoddy being the head coach. So I think that a lot of people are trying to gather what this team is going to do, what type of things that this coaching staff likes, and typically what we do. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, and there's a lot of unknowns in this draft because there's not a lot of players to love. There's a lot of players to like, but not a lot to love. So I'm looking on Twitter, and I'm constantly. I've kind of pulled myself out of the conversations, or pulled myself out of really the fighting in the weeds and stuff about certain players and preferences and all that type of stuff, because I've noticed that what we're doing, and we've done this for years, and I'm here to say, like, there are prospects out there that are really, really, really good players that could be really good fits here. And what I'm watching now is I'm watching people dog players out just based off of preference. I'm really good players. Like, I mean, and I'm sitting back because I'm not in the weeds. Because what's up, David Jenkins? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. What's up, Lou? Salute. I'm watching fans talk about Ted, watching them talk about Genty, watching them talk about Abuka. I'm watching them talk about Josh Simmons, for example. Watching them talk about Abdul Carter. I'm watching us nitpick because we have been at this for so long. I'm watching us nitpick little things that may not matter, and we're making them major. And what we're doing is we're pushing up people up the boards that because we have fresh eyes on them and we're not as nitpicky with them, and we're pushing good players down the board. Now, real scouts, real front offices and stuff like that, they're not doing those things. But as fans, because we're just tired of talking about certain individuals, we're making them look like they're just not anything. Like I sat and watched, and we're gonna do a show tonight. We're gonna do cover 3, but I kind of wanted to get this off my chest before anything, right? I'm watching us look at Tet and the whole film situation because I hadn't touched on it. But I mean, at 21 years old, like who the hell loves watching film? Like that don't mean you don't love playing because you don't love watching film or you don't watch film outside of your receiver group. You guys don't know what the dynamic is in that building. You don't know that maybe it's part of the formula. Maybe Ted has a wide receiver coach that he trusts with the clips, and that's worked for him thus far. And he doesn't know anything outside of that. You know what I'm saying? So he's just sticking to what makes him comfortable. You know, I mean, you. I trust me, guys. I've been in. I look. I was a walk on at Howard U. I was a walk on, so I had to do little extra things to make the travel bus, to play the little bit of snaps that I even got in the game for, because I was a walk on. So you got to do things to set yourself apart. And I think Boss Cowboys said this. I think Boss said it the best. You know what I'm saying? I got there are walk ons that watch a whole bunch of tape and go out there and get smacked up on by these guys with talent. You know what I'm saying? They get smacked up on by these guys with talent, but because we take something so little as him not watching film outside of his position group, you take it as he don't love the game, and I couldn't disagree more. It takes somebody that has really played the game to understand that there's different types of love. Not everybody's Peyton Manning, where they're gonna watch film and sit there and you know what I'm saying, like break down everything about every opponent. You only, as a college student, you only have but a certain amount of time in a day, and if you're performing, why you know what I'm saying? Why go against the grain if you're already performing? If you're doing the very very best that you can, you're getting the most out of what you already know that you're getting the best out of your body. Why go against the grain? I'm already one of the top receivers in the game. This formula works for me. Why would I do anything different? It takes somebody to show them how to do something different, right? It takes him being around a CeeDee Lamb. It takes him being around a NFL coaching. It takes him being around a Dak Prescott to understand that there are other little wrinkles in the game that you can get out of your game. Like, think about this, right? The Arizona wide receiver coach, more than likely, Arizona, like, as far as I know, he's the highest touted wide receiver prospect in Arizona history, as far as I can remember, right? And I could be wrong, but if he's not number one, he's definitely number two, number three, or whatever. But he's number one in recent history, right? And you look at it and you say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why are you trying to make somebody watch more film just for the sake of watching more film? Let me tell y'all something, right? because they're content creators, and I'm not dogging them or anything like that, right? But there are content creators that could love watching film or that watch a lot of film. This isn't taking a shot, by the way, right? Because everybody watches film different, everybody sees things different, everybody was taught different. And I'm not saying that I have the answers to everything because I'm still learning. I still go to coaches clinics. Um, I still, I talk with football minds all the time to keep myself sharp. So what I'm saying is, you could watch all the film in the world and not know what you're watching, or not know what you're looking at, or not know what you're understanding. So just watching a whole bunch of film don't mean that you're mastering anything anymore. That's one thing that people have to get into their brains, and I've had to do that myself. I've had to tell myself, you know, and this is why I've stopped getting into the whole pissing matches with people about, you know, oh, I watch more film than you, or I understand it more than you, or, you know, I've been coaching longer than you. Like, what I try and do is I try and get people to understand from my perspective more than, just doing a shout match at them. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like, I've been a play caller before. I've also been an assistant coach. I've also been a player. So what I try and do is get people to look at things from a play calling standpoint now, because people could look at things very, very different. But until you've sat there and called plays, you know what I'm saying? Like, until you've really talked to play callers about how they set up their weeks, how they set up their sheets, how they adapt to their players, it's really, really tough to get a gauge on what they might be seeing. It's really tough. But guess what? There are way better play callers than me. There are way better coaches than me out there. Trust me, I just went through it this weekend at a 7-on-7 tournament out in Woodbridge, Pylon. Got out coached. We got smoked. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are kids out there doing a lot of things, man. Like, some of these kids with talent, you just wouldn't believe, and a lot of these kids don't make it. A lot of these kids, either they don't love the game, or maybe they just not football players. But 7-on-7 is different. 7-on-7 is a football, but that's beside the point. We can have a discussion about that the other day. The whole point is taking something as simple as what Tet said about film, is really just player fatigue, because that don't have nothing to do with what his abilities are on the field, what what attributes he has, what traits he has, and what a coach at the next level can get out of him. If we're not having those type of discussions, we ain't talking about nothing. We ain't talking about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Josh Simmons, right? Josh Simmons' tape is really, really good, really, really good. And I got into it with my guy B Powell a little bit on Twitter. Not We didn't really get into it. We didn't get to it. What's up, Arian? What's going on, bro? How you doing, my guy? One of the best trainers that I know, man. Y'all go hit my guy up. Y'all go hit him up. One of the best trainers in the business, for sure. Um, and I was just talking about the prospect based on, I was watching Vach and Brian last night. Not last night. I watched it this morning, and they were talking about Josh Simmons. And then I made a comment about how Josh Simmons, like, is just, I just feel like head and shoulders better than all of the other lineman prospects, in my opinion, from what I'm looking at. And then, B Powell said, like, no O lineman talk. And it's just like, I get it, bro. I don't want a first round O lineman either. But that's beside the point. Like, just because I don't want an O lineman, don't mean I'm not gonna watch, and don't mean that I'm not gonna admire, and don't mean that I'm not gonna, call a player out by grade, or how I see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can play. If we get him, we get a hell of a player. Whoever gets him, hell of a player. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes yeah, bro, we just gotta kind of get away from the whole tit for tat. Like, we just have to realize that it's all on preferences. Me and my brother Lou, we box every day about the whole line versus weapons thing. We box every day, but you ask Lou, if when we go back and forth, you know what I'm saying? It's a heated discussion, not heated discussion, but Lou, you gotta have me on your show one day, bro. We gotta talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to go on your platform. and we discussed this because I know that your people they really love you know what I'm saying, the intricacies of the O line. So we can definitely, but when we talk, bro, like I mean, it's high level, like it's high level stuff. But I never feel disrespected by Lou, and I hope that I never disrespect Lou when I'm talking. And I think he gets my perspective a lot of the time. And you know, for the most part, I know what Lou wants in alignment, and I actually agree with what Lou wants in alignment. I actually wish that me and Lou did work last year because I feel like that was the year. I felt like, what's up, Mark? I, I wonder if that's my cousin, Mark. I wonder if that's my cousin, but that's beside the point. Appreciate the compliment about the hair. But yeah, me and Lou, like for the most part, I agree with Lou on linemen. You know what I'm saying? I wish that this was a discussion we had last year and not this year. You know what I'm saying? Or the previous year. And we can have those discussions about linemen anyway. Like for the most part, how he feels about prospects is how I feel about prospects. You know what I'm saying? It's what I want in my lineman. If I were calling plays, I like a lot of the things that Lou likes. We're just gonna disagree on pick 12 if certain guys are on the board. Now, if my guys Tet and Genty are off the board, we can talk about line, Lou. We can talk about line. But as it stands right now, it's all on preference. It's not that I'm right or that he's wrong. It's more about what you see, and the team is going to do whatever the team is going to do anyway. I think Dave Sturchio said it on Twitter. You know what I'm saying about the fatigue. Like I can't wait till all this is over because there's just so many people arguing about the unknowns, right? And I agree with that. I do agree with that. Hold on, Chad. Let me answer your question after you know what I'm saying, after I get my point out. Now, what I will tell y'all is if you're super chat, then I'm gonna answer the question right then and there. I'm gonna try and get back to it, but you know what I'm saying? It is the unknown. So because there's an unknown, all we can really talk to right now is who the players are as it stands today and what they can be with NFL coaching with pedigree. I'm gonna always go back to this compliment. I mean, not compliment, but this statement by Mike Tomlin because it changed my life when it came to football. Changed my life with how I think about it, how I think about players, how I think about analyzing players. And he said, if we're not talking about pedigree, like what are we talking about? And I'm paraphrasing. And it's just like if I hear that this guy can't do this guy can't do that, this guy can't do this, it sounds like guys are running away from coaching. But if it's anything outside of pedigree, you know what I'm saying? That's where you got coaches. That's where NFL coaches come into play. Where I feel like the Cowboys had lacked, and this is where my argument with Lou is about offensive line. I feel like for the span of about close to maybe about 6-7 years, we've lacked the coaching with the pedigree of guys that we've had. I felt like the pedigree guys that we've had, the coaching has not matched that. And I feel like we need to match our coaching to our pedigree. We got to or we should overmatch the coaching to what it is that we have and then you catch the players up to what the coaching pedigree is. But we've been mismatching when it comes to the coaching opposed to the type of players that we've been getting. I feel that way about receiver. I haven't felt that way so much about running back, but you could tell a difference when Gary Brown died. I will tell you that. I will tell you that. Yeah, and Markey Franklin, absolutely right. This could be time our coaches match the players. We got to get our coaches to match what our players are. And I don't think, as an O-line stance, if you look around the league, we have more depth than everybody. We just have. I personally think we have better players than most of the league. And you know, Lou will say, you know what I'm saying, it's not easy to find linemen today. I think that we're better at it than most. And I think that we're in a better situation. B Bird, thank you for the $2 super chat. There's no salary cap on coaches. Thank you. We're just being cheap. We're cheap with coaches. We're cheap with the training staff. And guess what? Guess what areas we get smoked in? We get smoked in having guys that are injured, and we get out coached often. So, two areas. Let me go back to this question Chad asked. What about trading back and drafting O-line in the second? Um, Honestly, I just don't want O-line at 12. I mean, we could trade back in the first round and go to about 18, and if we get an O lineman, and that's the best player on the board, and the guys that I want are off the board, then I'm not opposed to taking a lineman there. At 12 is just where I oppose it. I oppose it at 12. You know what I'm saying? But the draft is weird, and this is what I'm going to tell you guys. This is why don't get too caught up in the players that you love and realize that this draft can't go a little wonky. The draft can go crazy because there's no set of eyes. Like, I mean, for the most part, the consensus is all over the place. But what I'm trying to get you guys to see is the consensus on guys like Ted, on guys like Genty, guys like Josh Simmons, Abdul Carter. Like, there are certain players that that it's not budging on. The scouts aren't budging on. Omari Hampton is another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm watching people dog Omari Hampton out, talking about Omari, his vision is iffy and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like, and one day, like, I would love to have a intricate discussion with Brian Broadus on what it is that he likes out of running backs. Because I totally disagree with Johnson and Botch too. You know what I'm saying? I totally disagree that Johnson is better than Hampton. Totally disagree. Totally disagree. But it's an educated disagree. Like, I watched him last year. I watched last year's tape. And when he had a quarterback and you know what I'm saying, when the team around him was a little better and when the scheme was a little bit more open to Hampton. Also, the things that I wonder is when we're looking at players, do schemes matter? Do matching what a scheme to a player to what our current coaches are, like, does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Because you look at a Caleb Johnson, for example. Caleb ran a lot of zone, but we're looking to get more gap, more power schemes, where Omarion Hampton ran a lot of that at North Carolina. Now, if you want to question what the scheme was like and some of the principles and some of the rules, we can have that discussion all day. Like, for example, there was a lot of times they ran some counters and stuff with no tight end on that side to close the door. And you know, you talk about vision. How much vision you want if you got an edge that's surfing the line? You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of conversations that I'd like to have with certain people when we're talking about these players. You know, some of those things have to take into account when we are grading these players and when we're looking at them. Now, if we were looking more zone scheme, I'm with you. RN said Judkins is a good gap scheme back. Hope y'all don't get him. Absolutely, bro, because Ohio State runs a lot of power gap scheme stuff. A lot of that. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about players, like, we got to be able to talk about those type of things. I really like Caleb Johnson, and I'm not saying that somebody shouldn't have him higher than Hampton. I just would like to have that discussion on why it's that. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're talking zone scheme, I totally agree. But if we're talking gap scheme, we're talking, you know what I'm saying, power run scheme, I totally disagree. Wholeheartedly disagree based off of what we're watching, based off of what we've watched. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that'd be an interesting dynamic if that ever happened. It probably would never happen. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that people look at me as the big bad wolf. They look at me sometimes as a guy that, you know what I'm saying, like, I might not get as many views as some of these bigger guys, but I'm going to ask you the questions, and I'm also going to be ready for the questions that you might have. You know, like, Just the questions that people want to hear, the football people want to hear. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask questions about scheme. We're gonna dive into those type of things, and that might trip you up a little bit. So I might be the big bad wolf when it comes to that type of stuff. And I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, I know all. I'm just gonna ask the question to push the issue to try and see. You know what I'm saying? What's up, B Bird? Thank you for the other $2 super chat. Judkins is my favorite RB in the draft. Appreciate that. Thank you, Marky. Appreciate you. And I know that. You know what I'm saying? I know that. I know that. You know what I'm saying? I got the people that rock. It don't matter about the views. It matters about how solid of a person you are. It matters about integrity. All of those type of things matter. And I'm not saying, look, Vach is my dog, bro. Like I'm not gonna say I grew up watching Vach, but when I first started this thing, I didn't know who Vach was, but I loved his stuff. And it's like, I actually did a draft breakdown. So when I got started, I did a draft breakdown on the top 5 running backs. And unlike everybody else who has that, you know, when they have their breakthrough, they got to go through like the growing pains of 1, the 2 views, the 3 views or whatever. My first ever video did 8K views. And I actually backtracked because I couldn't duplicate it again. So, like, my first video went crazy. It went nuts. And I was just like, damn, this is what it's like? Like, because I was doing podcasts. I was doing boxing podcasts and stuff before. And I was just like, I'm going to bring it to Angry Cowboys fan. He said mine did 12. Yeah, bro. It's like when you have that early success, it's like crazy. You like, damn. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, I actually was doing work and it was doing crazy. And then I hooked up with Mark later on. Mark watched my stuff because we got introduced by Clarence, and then, you know, kind of went under Mark's shadow a little bit. And Mark's demographic is a little older, so they ain't going to follow no young whippersnapper or whatnot. So, you know, got hooked up with Rome and Tuck, and, you know what I'm saying, took the channel to a different level and meeting content creators and everybody else. But yeah, so with Vach, like I remember my first interaction with Vach was I was over at Mark's house, we talking draft, and then Vach calls Mark and they put it on the speaker, and I'm in awe. But every time I've hung out with Vach, man, listen, dude, love mumbo sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like me, him, E2, like it's just funny. Like we went to the draft, I think in 2017. Me, him, E2, we hung out day 3. We went inside the building. Listen, some of these memories. Foots the King was on that draft. We need to bring that back. I don't know how we do it, but we got to bring that back because that was legendary. Law was out there. I don't know if Skywalker still was out because they went out to Mike Fisher's bar, and I wasn't out there yet. I had to work, and then I got out there like Friday evening, and then the first person I saw was Foots. And Foot's tall ass. I didn't even know Foots was that damn tall. Like Foot's about 6'3", 6'4". I think. He might be 6'2". I might be hyping it. Might have been the hair. But Foots is pretty damn tall. People don't know that. Like I look little. Like I'm like 5'11". And I look little compared to these dudes. Like if I take a picture of Rome, nah, y'all, Rome is huge. Rome is a big dude. Like Rome looked like he could be a guard. He looked like he could be a guard in the league. You know what I'm saying? Foots is tall as hell. You want to know what Foots say he's 6'2"? Yeah, Foots might look taller because he's slim. He lean. You know what I'm saying? But Foots about 6'2". Yeah, a couple of these guys are just tall as hell, bro. Like, but that trip really solidified a lot of things for me. As it let me know that I belong, but more importantly, it was more about the brotherhood. And I kind of wish that we can kind of get back to that in the content space. A lot of tick for tack, a lot of all that stuff, a lot of ego. And I'm not saying amongst those folks, but I'm just saying for the people that are coming around that are new, that are trying to build names for themselves and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of I'm right, you're wrong, and I feel like I've matured from that. I've been around it for so long that now this year, look, as little as last year, I was in on all of that stuff, and then just realized, like, bro, you spending a lot of energy when you could just go live, when you can just do a show and you can just talk about it and leave it at that, leave it on wax, and not have to fight with these people every day. And I know that it's not so much. I think that because Twitter is a free app, everybody feels like they have access to. They feel like they want to poke the bear by saying the most disrespectful stuff, or to try and show you up on that app. And we gotta kind of get away from that, you know. But yeah, man, I to get back to the point, there's just player fatigue right now. Guys, take a break, take a break, take a breather, sit back. Really, if you're really doing this draft process thing, really look at your notes and just rely on that. Don't find just little itty bitty things that the media is going to throw at you, that these GMs, these scouts are going to throw at you to throw people off from drafting. Because I promise you, there's some prospects out here that can flat out play, and people just got it. They got it wrong based off of the wrong things. Let the main thing be the main thing. Tet did all of that off of the prerequisite film that he had to watch. What y'all think Tet gonna do when he get in a room full of veterans? When he get in a room with a wide receiver coach that's a veteran, and he gets in there with a quarterback that knows what he's doing. He gets around. Like, what do y'all think? Like, like my mindset is completely different. I don't need these guys to be finished products right now. I don't want the finished product of you right now. Because if there's the finished product of you right now, then that means you can't grow and you won't get better. And then that's how you become a bust. Like, for example, a lot of you guys are ready to give up on Tyler Guyton. I'm not. I want to see him get coached properly. And they have a plan in place and we carry out that plan. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see, guys. I'm not ready to give up on him. I'm not even ready to give up on Mozzie Smith right now. And you guys know how I felt about drafting Mozzie. I actually had it right. I had it right when I talked about Mozzie. And I knew what we were getting. And people came at me like I was crazy. And I think that this year, Mozzie is going to make that leap. Because I told y'all he was a 2 to 3 year project. I knew it then. That's why I didn't want him right at that spot right then. Because I thought that there were other players that were a little better that could help us right then and there. And I didn't think that Mozzie would be able to come in and start, and I was right. JV Boy said, do you think Tyler Guyton will be working with Duke Manyweather again this offseason? I mean, I hope so, but this is why I would love to have a educated discussion with Duke Manyweather of what his actual role is. Because I'm pretty sure I know what Duke Manyweather's role is. And it's not the role that everybody thinks. Everybody, because Duke works with these guys, everybody feels like Duke has all the answers. You know what I'm saying? Duke, you can't go against Duke. You can't disagree with Duke, right? And not to say that his expertise shouldn't be respected. It definitely should. Definitely. But Duke is a trainer. And Aaron, you're here. You can attest to this, bro. When your players don't work out the way that it should, right? That's not your fault, but it also shouldn't lean on you either, because you're a tool to help. You should not be, as a trainer, it should not fall on you to develop players to be good. You know what I'm saying? To be the very best at what they do, because you're not in those meeting rooms. You know what I'm saying? You're not in those practices. It's your job to help them sharpen up skills, but it's not your job to make them develop as a player. You're a tool as a trainer, and you're a paid tool on top of that, meaning that your service ain't free. You know what I'm saying? It's your job to help them sharpen up skills, but it's not your job to make them a good football player. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. So when Duke says something along, and maybe one day we can have this discussion, and maybe Duke will get on the show. And when Duke says something along the lines of, "I think this player is a guard. I think this player is not a tackle, but I think he's a guard," right? That's just an opinion, just like any of us have. He's worked with the player. He knows the skill set and stuff like that, but the coaches in there, yeah, the coaches in there, they might need him to play damn tackle. I don't need you to play guard. I want you to be tackle because I'm calling plays a certain way. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's up to the coaches in the building to develop the players. Duke is there to sharpen their skills on the things that maybe they lack or they could get better at, but it's not his job to develop them. So I just wanted to point that out. I just wanted to point that out. And the trainer should never overstep the coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like when I work with kids, and if I have a coach that I know, I will say, what do you want this player to work on? Like what do you want this player to specifically work on that fits within your offense? And if the Cowboys are doing that and they're sending guys over there for Duke to develop them, they're the issue. You're the issue. Get a damn coach in there that's watching film with him to develop him. You get a coaching staff to develop your damn players. You don't send them to no trainer for them to develop them. But JV boy, yeah, I get you on that. Mike Solari isn't better than Duke Manyweather, but you don't know that. You have no clue. We don't know what we don't know what Mike Solari was teaching or what he wasn't teaching, or like you can't say that. Mike Solari's been coaching for a very, very long time. So I won't disrespect Mike Solari in that regard and say that Duke is better than him. I won't say that. Because if Duke was better than him, Duke would have a coaching job. And he would have one of the higher paid coaching jobs. You know what I'm saying? Right now, Duke has a suite because Duke can work with whoever the hell Duke wants to work with. So I think that a lot of people got to realize the difference between trainers and coaches. We got to respect coaches, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, get better coaches in here. Get better coaches. If we got to rely on the trainer to develop our guys, we ain't got the coaching. That's all I'm kind of getting at. Connor Riley and Clayton Adams going to fix Guyton. Yeah, I think so too. Appreciate you though, JV boy. Mark, I don't know if it's Marquet or Marquis. Let me know how to say your name. I love Damian Martinez as a player. I love him as a player. I think I got like maybe a 5th round grade on him or something like that, but he's a 5th round grade that I think has a high upside as far as I think he's close to being an RB1. He's not that yet. Kind of like with Marion Barber coming out, in my opinion. I think that, you know, he might be eventually like a closer. I think cold weather games, like I see a little bit of LeGarrette Blount in this game, if you know what I'm saying. A little bit of LeGarrette Blount. Which is a good thing because that formula won Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? Like having a LeGarrette Blount on your team in cold weather type games and, you know what I'm saying, that toughness, it definitely helps. I don't think he's ready to lead a running back room yet as an alpha. And we're going to talk about that on Cover 3 tonight, though. Like, I'm going to save some of this stuff. Marquee. Got you. Salute. Salute. Kind of like Biz Marquee. All right, I got you. All right. We're going to talk about that on Cover 3 tonight, though. I have to save some stuff. I'm only talking about things that I don't know that we're going to talk about. But, man, I got to get ready for a meeting. Appreciate y'all, the ones who stopped in, man. If you didn't, hit that like button on the way out. I'm also accepting Super Chats anytime. So if you want to, you know, send something to donate to the channel to help make it better, appreciate it, man. You know what I'm saying? Love the people that rock with me, and we out. Peace.